Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 19th of March, comes to you from London. And the big news yesterday was this big move in the crude oil price, down several percent. And that is as a result of cases rising on coronavirus stats, and we will take a look. But we're seeing big ticks up in France and Germany, and we'll take a look at that at the end of the session. So these charts are starting to become important again. Looking at the dollar first of all, this is my long-term, medium-term and short-term view of the market, weekly, daily and 60-minute charts with the corresponding point and figure targets. We see the dollar is relatively flat. We did have this wobble on the Fed comments, but we've ended the week pretty much where we started, and of course much the same for the euro, sitting around this 119 mark, generally falling against the stronger dollar this year, so that is a factor. Dollar strength is the theme. The yen back below the 109 level, but still looking dollar still looking strong there. Sterling was sitting at 139 this morning, bullish on all three time frames against the dollar, so that strong dollar is a key, but sterling is actually outperforming that strong dollar. And against the euro, we're sitting at 117, edging higher all the time. Sterling strength really showing through there, vaccinations being a factor. Taking a look at Bitcoin, we're sitting at $58,000, so looking strong there, multiple upside targets, still bullish on all three time frames. The US market was down 1.5% on the S&P last night. That's giving us a down weekly candle unless we rise by more than 1.5%. We did make a new all-time high in the week, so interesting to just see that we're starting to unwind that. But we are still bullish on all three time frames there. The Nasdaq was performing less well, nowhere near the high that we saw in February. So the tech stocks are really just showing a weakness there. The futures this morning, we're seeing the E-mini S&P up 0.37%, and the Nasdaq future looking stronger. Does look like US stocks will open higher. The VIX volatility falling back on that. The FTSE future is down 0.2% in the UK, just struggling still to make new highs. The DAX in Germany did make new highs yesterday, coming back. Virus concerns will be holding back these markets, and the CAC 40, Paris just going into another lockdown, is having an effect. The third wave in Europe really starting to worry. The Japanese market was flat. The Hang Seng and the Chinese market were lower, so we saw Asia predominantly falling. We'll take a look at the energy mix in a minute. The gold price actually moving higher, activating that upside target to 1860, so looking stronger there. And silver much the same as well. And US 10-year yields falling back to 1.69%, but still on the rise, and 30-year bond yields are also still looking very strong. The energy mix, we saw Brent crude was down several percent yesterday. That's given us a very, very big daily down candle. This is my daily chart and my 60-minute chart. So we see the big move down there over the hours. Yesterday we were watching this unfold. This will give us a new downside target. We already have a level. We're putting an oil report out to clients early next week to look at where crude oil will settle to. We're seeing a recovery on that 60-minute chart, so it's going to play out in these shorter term time frames. If you're trading oil, keep an eye on these 1-minute charts. For the moment, not much upside, not a lot of buying thrust off that low yesterday, and we still have further downside, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. For the moment, though, a pretty bad week for crude, and the same for WTI. US nat gas sitting steady at 250, 251, so we are seeing the chart there just sitting steady at that level. And if we look, that does look fairly flat. We do have an upside target not yet activated, and on the longer term chart, downside potential back towards the 2 level. So at the moment we are pretty static. We've been bearish on nat gas the last couple of weeks. We will probably end up going neutral next week based on the fact that we've fallen a lot and we seem to be finding a floor. Coal is looking at 71.50, holding its gain, so it's looking pretty strong there. And emissions also holding on despite the big falls in oil yesterday, so we haven't seen anything like that. Gas prices down more sharply. We're seeing MVP down 1.8%. TTF actually bucking the trend a little bit, but we are seeing here on TTF that we are wandering below the cloud, so that is a little bit of a worry as well. Looking at German power, we fell back yesterday, but we've found a floor, and the chart still looks very bullish, very different from the oil price. So taking a look at those COVID stats, so I just rank these in my screen here. This data coming from Our World in Data. Updata, all versions of Updata are now compatible with that, so you can look at this for yourself. And the big one is that Germany and France had big rises in the cases yesterday. The data is nearly always a day out of date because that's when the numbers are reported. But we're seeing here dramatic lift off in cases in Germany, sitting at 158 per million. So really significant that move there in the German stats. France also much higher. That kick up in France we see there really just starting to show through. So cases accelerating. This is what's been behind the fall in oil prices, is the fall in demand, likely because of further European lockdowns. We see that the UK is sitting at 83 cases per million versus, half that of Germany, and in at least a quarter, maybe a fifth of that in France. So really big differences there. We've got Bulgaria really racing away, Poland looking strong as well, racing as well. And we're seeing even Greece, Hungary really at 738 cases. That's the worst number that we're seeing in Europe. And so we said Poland and Czech. We are seeing a little bit of a fall away, and Czech actually the highest at 977 cases. So it's amazing to think that this is some 13 times higher than the UK at the moment, and the UK half that of the US, but the US falling. So this does give us a real picture as to what's going on in the cases, and of course you can look at the numbers for deaths, vaccinations, hospitalizations, all available to you. Anyway, that's it for today. It's interesting to see how these divergences occurring between the UK and the rest of Europe. Until Monday, have a great weekend. Happy charting. See you then.